So at what point did you decide to relocate from Ohio to San Francisco and learn Latin percussion and drumming under Coke Escovedo in the Escovedo family? Most people would know Sheila E. Is also a member of the Escovedo family. So at what point were you still like in high school or you were a young adult? At what point did you leave?
Right after high school, right
Uh,
after graduating from high school. Um, 75. Um, the interesting thing about going out to the West Coast, Lakeside, the guys that came behind Ohio players, and then there was the guys that came kind of behind Lakeside, who we were a little younger. We looked up to the Ohio players, but Lakeside was more in our age group. They were a little older than the guys from Slave and some of the younger bands, Fazo.
mhm.
They went out to California to make it. They went to LA. Now, the interesting thing about the Ohio players, they went to Chicago to record. They did their recordings up in Chicago, especially the era when Sugarfoot became the lead vocalist. So these people would leave the city to try and make it or leave the city to do their recording. So when it came to me, I'm like, yo, Lakeside has gone out to LA. I'm down with this hippie thing. I'm feeling, cats like obviously Sly, but I'm also feeling Jefferson Airplane and I'm feeling Tower of Power, but I'm also feeling Cold Blood and Grateful Dead and people like that. So I decided I wanted to go and Santana for sure. I decided instead of going to LA, I wanted to go to the Bay Area to get that energy that was more, for me, that was more wide open musically. And that was right after high school. So I went out there like 77, 76. And shoot, man, and got connected out there. Took a long ride. Hadn't been there maybe 6 months. Took a ride with my buddy who played keys that I had met out there.
Mhm.
Yo, man, let's go for a ride, Steve. I'm like, yeah, let's get it, bro. And we went out to this area, kind of like a suburb area. And this dude says, that's Coke Escovedo water in his lawn, bro. I'm like, nah, that's not Coke Escovedo, bro. That's Coke Escovedo water in his lawn right there, bro. I said, well, I got to get out, man. We got to pull over and I got to get out. But I got to get out the right way because I was so excited because I loved Santana and Coke was involved with that Abraxas album, that second album on Santana, where Pete Escovedo and Coke Escovedo were a part of that record. So I said, Mr. Escovedo, I know you, I'm not trying to bother you right now, but I'm out here from Ohio and I'm a drummer and I'm trying to really make it out here. If you know anybody looking for a drummer, here's my card, blase, blase, scoop. And just by the way, man, I love what you do, that Abraxas album. And I start and I had to back up and say, okay. Hey, I just want to say, man, it's an honor to meet you. And he says, I tell you what, I do know this guy who plays flute. And he plays like a smooth jazz kind of flute style. He's looking for a drummer. And he told me the address. So I came back and the address happened to be his house. So the dude was rehearsing and he also was doing auditioning, for the drum chair in Coke Escovedo's studio area at his home, right? I'm like, yo, man, this is awesome. And Coke Escovedo was on the steps watching this audition. So he dug what I was doing. I got the gig with the flute guy and found out he opened for Coke Escovedo. So Coke said, I'm feeling what you're doing so much, man. I want you to be my drummer too. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. So the next thing I know, I'm playing with the guy that plays flute, doing a smooth jazz thing. Then I jump on the set on when Coke is playing, headlining the shows. So I had 2 gigs, and yo, man, we played all over, and I was introduced to a lot more Latin type music versus just Santana, which in the Midwest, we weren't really into the salsa at that time. So I learned salsa music from the Escovedo family, and